All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace. I am from StandWithUs United Kingdom, and I am joined by Ben M Freeman, educator and author of Jewish Pride, and another one coming soon. Am I correct?
Yeah, there was one that came out in October of last year, reclaiming
Came
our
on.
space, and there'll be a third one in a couple of years.
Oh, that's incredible. So, Ben, thank you so much for being here with me. I really just wanted to pick your brain, ask you a few questions about what's everything that's going on in Israel and in the UK as well. I probably don't need to recap because everyone knows, but I will recap some numbers, which is right now, unfortunately, we are looking at over 800 people murdered in Israel at the moment, over 2,500 injured and over 150 kidnapped. These are insane, unprecedented numbers. I just wanted to ask you, first of all, how are you? What do you think about this whole situation?
I think I'm the same as everyone. I'm in shock. I'm devastated. It's yeah, I think that there's really actually no words to describe what we're experiencing right now as a global Jewish family, because as you say, it's unprecedented. And I think that is what's really significant here. This is unprecedented. I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life. And I've experienced operations between, or small skirmishes, you could say, but nothing on this scale. And it's horrifying, it's devastating. And I think that we'll have to, at some point, we're going to have space to process it. But right now, it's really all hands on deck. It's action and about fighting and about winning and about supporting each other during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about the UK and what we're seeing right now. Can you maybe talk about the stuff that we've been seeing this morning, really?
Absolutely. So kind of on cue, we've started to see actions against British Jews. And I say on cue because this is something that happens every time Israel's involved in a war or a conflict of sorts, that action is taken against Jews in other countries. And some people will say, well, this is because of Israel. It's not because of Israel. It's because of Jew hatred. People are coming for Israel and they're coming for Jews in the diaspora or in exile, as we should maybe be saying right now, because we're Jews. So spraying Free Palestine over a bridge in a very Jewish area, Golders Green, smashing up a Jewish shop, a bakery, a pizza shop, I believe. These are anti-Jewish actions. And what's horrifying is that they're happening not necessarily in broad daylight, right? I mean, these things were probably done during the night, but this is overt. The smashing of Jewish shops, the smashing of Jewish windows is overt. The spray painting of Free Palestine over a bridge in a very Jewish area is an overt attack on the Jews. And I think this is where we are at as a global Jewish family. There was a brief period, maybe from the 1960s to about 10 years ago, where Jew hatred was in the shadows. It still existed, but it was in the shadows. It was not overt. Now it is overt. And that's what we're seeing. And we have to understand firmly that Jew hatred or anti-Semitism is the same as anti-Zionism. There's no difference, or rather I should say anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. There must be no ambiguity. At this moment, across the whole global Jewish community, there is no room for ambiguity. We must come together. We must recognize exactly what is going on, the threats that we all face, whether in Israel or in exile or in the diaspora. And we must name it. We're not going to pretend that these things aren't happening, and we're not going to pretend that they're not part of the same experience, the same family of ideologies or events. So what is happening in London and what is going to happen in other cities in the UK, in other cities in the West and other parts of the world will be attacks on Jews. But we must always remember that these attacks are taking place because we are Jews. It's got nothing to do with the actions of Israel. Israel is also being attacked because it is a Jewish country. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yes. And in terms of what would you like? Really, my big question is, the Jewish community in London, or sorry, in the UK is so small. really. But what would you like to convey to the non-Jewish community about what's going on, generally speaking, what's going on in Israel specifically, the human rights violations going on there, the really the lack of like liberal British values when it comes to everything that's going on, when it comes to Hamas? Yeah, what would you like the non-Jewish British world to understand?
What I'm about to say, I say with Jewish pride, with strength, and with self-esteem and confidence. Just as I said with regards to ambiguity and the Jews, for non-Jews, there's no time for ambiguity. You either stand with us or you stand against us. We're not having wishy-washiness. We're not having sitting on the fence. We are being attacked. Our women are being raped. Holocaust survivors are being taken and kidnapped. Families are being executed. You're either with us or you're against us. There is no time for ambiguity. I encourage people to step outside themselves, to step outside of their narrow worldviews, and to understand Hamas is not a Western liberal player, as you say. They are genocidal. They hate a number of different groups, and they want to murder all the Jews in the world. And they're trying to murder the Jews in Israel. And we will not allow that to happen. Israel will fight back. Israel will win. But the time for ambiguity is over. You're either with us or you're against us. That is it. We are being attacked. We're being murdered. So you have to ask yourself where you stand.
Yeah. And when you see the videos like the one that we posted yesterday, unfortunately, going on in Manchester about pro-Palestinian rallies being all for everything that's going on in Israel right now, it's quite shocking, I have to say. I was really I was surprised, and I'm not easily surprised at this point.
It is shocking, and I understand that there's some people who may see those videos and say, well, these people are just, supporting the Palestinians. That is not what's happening right now. Again, there's no time for ambiguity. Hamas are the aggressors in this situation, to take to the streets to support the Palestinian cause. And we must not forget that Hamas is the official representation of at least some of the Palestinian people. So there's no time for ambiguity. And I believe those people should be put on the terror watch list, because we have to remember that Hamas is a terrorist organization prescribed in the UK. And they will not be flying Hamas flags, as we know. But we have to be watching very carefully. Swastikas were displayed in New York. We have to believe people when they tell us and when they show us who they are. And that is something I'd like to also say and remind the non-Jewish audience. Believe people when they show you who they are. Do not deny the rhetoric coming from the Palestinian cause. Do not deny the rhetoric coming from the Palestinians themselves. Much of it is deeply rooted with Jew hatred. And we wish it wasn't, but it was. And we're not going to pretend otherwise.
Yeah, thank you for that. So with that, all of that said, I want to kind of switch to the Jewish community in the UK. What do we say to them? How do we help them? What can they do in order to show their support, whether here or in Israel?
So I think with regards to our own expressions of Zionism and Jewish pride, which is really ultimately what we're talking about, everyone has to identify their own comfort levels. I'm not going to say to anyone, wear your Magen David, wear your kippah, be visibly Jewish, because as we know, as we just discussed, that does increase the risk of physical violence. So we're not going to encourage you to do that. That's something you have to do. You have to decide. I wear my Magen David, I wear my kippah, and that's a decision I've made. But pride and Zionism doesn't have to always be this outward visible expression to the wider world. So I would say to Jews, whether you feel comfortable displaying your Jewish pride and your Zionism or not, reach out to other Jews. Remember that you're part of a community. I said on Twitter, Am Echad Lev Echad, one people, one heart. It's true. We are a family going through something, and we have to stand together. There are vigils taking place tonight in London. Tomorrow there's one in Manchester. And we need to stand together. We need to support Israel. So that means giving donations, giving resources. So underwear, socks, tampons, people are needing these things. And also we have to understand that there will be an aftermath. Israeli individuals are not working right now. So we have to understand that people will need to pay their bills. Israeli life will have to continue, even though this is all happening. So how can we as Jews in the diaspora support them? We should be establishing funds which are going to help them pay their bills, as simple as that. Help them with resources, help them feed and clothe the soldiers who are fighting for us. That's what we have to remember. They're not just fighting for Israel, they're fighting for, of course, Israel, but the whole Jewish family. And you are part of a family, Am Echad, Lev Echad. And we must remember this right now because we need each other more than ever. So go on social media, communicate with your friends, communicate with people who you respect. Add your voice to the fray if you feel comfortable. Display your Zionism, your Jewish pride, if you feel comfortable. But remember, you're part of a global family and we are fighting back.
100%. Ben, thank you so much for being here with me and answering my questions. Do you have anything else that you would like to add at this point in time?
I think the only thing to remind people is that Jews are still here. And the reason we're still here is not an accident. We are the descendants of the Maccabees, the Bar Kokhba revolutionaries, the Warsaw Ghetto uprisers. We're the children of 1948 and 1967. We're here because of their bravery, and now it's our turn. And their bravery, their courage lives on in us, and now it's time for us to fight for our country.
100%. Like they say, we passed Pharaoh, we've been through Pharaoh, we've been through Hitler, we will be through Hamas as well. Ben, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time. And for everyone watching, first of all, if you're not following Ben, go follow Ben. No question there. And if you just tell us, share with us in the comments if you are in the UK, if you're Jewish, if you're Israeli, if you are a Zionist, if you're not Jewish but you support Israel, let us know how you are. We would love to know. And like Ben said, we are all one family and we're in this together. Absolutely. So thank you so much.
Of course.